What are the common myths and facts, or the misconception, as you may wish to call it, and what is correct regarding this subject matter of VAT? We have been on it all month. There's a proverb in my language that if the blacksmith continues to hit the rod on a particular spot, it has to be that there is something that he wants to bring out of it. So as a business owner, you have to watch out for that something throughout the month of October. So let's go through the myth and the facts regarding value-added tax. What are the common errors? What are the misconceptions? What are the things that you have heard? Let me start from this very first one. It's very funny. I've heard parties transacting businesses, and they will say stuff like, don't charge me withholding tax. Don't deduct withholding tax from my invoice. Then I won't charge you VAT. Pardon that I'm laughing. That's a complete myth. There is nothing in the law that supports that your decision as the party that is obligatory to deduct withholding tax from any invoice is hinged on applicability of VAT. No. Both transactions and both taxes are mutually exclusive. If the party that wants to deduct withholding tax wishes not to deduct, well, that is the party's business. But if you have an obligation to charge VAT on a transaction, you have to charge that VAT, whether or not withholding tax is equally being deducted. You are following this channel, don't let anybody tell you what is not true. That is the reason for following this channel. Another very major myth, especially you see it in agreements, is net of all taxes. Net of all taxes. We have done this agreement, net of all taxes. You cannot add VAT to the invoice. My people, there is no agreement that should be honored, that should make you, there's no wording, there's no clause that should make you not charge VAT if you have obligation so to do. And I'll tell you why. You see, the way the law is constructed in Nigeria, parties cannot unilaterally agree something to shortchange the government. Whatever agreement that parties make that will put the government in a position that is worse off, that agreement is null and void to the extent of its inconsistencies to the provision of the law. So when I read agreements, and parties have agreed that, oh, this amount is net of all taxes, just know that it does not hold water. It doesn't shield you. If you shield you from that obligation. You are following this channel, you have to do things rightly, and you have to be armed with information that will make you do things in the right way. Another very popular one is, I don't charge output VAT, so I'm not required to pay input VAT. Again, we had explained the input-output mechanism in the previous episode. If you missed that episode, you can still go back and check for the particular video on my channel and my other social media platforms, where I had extensively provided explanation on how the interplay between the input and output VAT. So you cannot say that because you don't charge output VAT for whatever reason, whether the law exempts you or you decide, to violate what the law says for whatever reason, and then you say you won't pay, input VAT, what will constitute input to you and be output to someone else. It's a complete myth and is not supported, in any provisions of the law. So the other major myth that is very prevalent is, I didn't see any VAT on the invoice. The invoice the vendor gave us, there's no VAT on it. So I won't bother myself. There's no VAT on the transaction. That's not correct. The fact that there's no VAT on the invoice does not mean there's no VAT on the transaction. If you don't have VAT on the invoice and the transaction is liable to VAT, then the law requires you that you are transacting with a party who did not charge the output VAT to self-account for the output VAT. That section is clear, is unambiguous, and it puts the obligation to report that VAT on that transaction so that the VAT is not lost by reason of one party's non-compliance. The law equally gives the second party the opportunity to comply. Are there other myths and misconceptions or facts about VAT that I've not touched and you are aware of? Let me know about them in the comment section, where we would continue to interact. A major fact is that VAT applies on the sales of goods and services, except for those that are specifically exempt by the law. Till I come your way again the next time, I remain Oladejo, and this is Insight with Oladejo. Bye.